Hi, everybody. Today we are going to work on two different substrates, two different sizes, showing you how to adjust to make it fit whatever you're working on, canvas or an art journal page. So I'm going to do one of them on a 4x6 canvas board and one on, it's approximately 3x6 from the top of the hole to the bottom, door hanger. Now I'm taking the TCW modeling paste and this number scramble stencil and applying it throughout. I'm going to come back and piece this in after it's dry to get the parts that I missed on the first one. I'm applying the modeling paste with a key card, which is my preferred way of applying modeling paste. Now I'm doing the numbers across the whole thing. You can just do areas where you have other areas, but I just wanted lots of texture. And the quote that I've picked for this, you have to be odd to be number one. I wanted the numbers behind. Now, my modeling paste, my stencils were dirty and it was discolored. So I'm giving this a coat of white gesso just to get rid of any colors that are there. And then I'm going to let this completely dry. Now I'm going to apply color. And I had the idea of doing purple, green, and blue. And of course, purple and green make mud. So I had to back off and put that in. So it's this one kind of fought me a little bit. And it ended up being mostly purple and blue. Although as I look at it now, I really like it, but at the time I was just fighting with it. And so it ended up more blue with a little bit of purple in it. I'm applying this with a makeup sponge. And I'm not sure if my gesso wasn't completely dry, but it was coming off. The gesso was acting as a resist, so it was coming off of some areas and it just wasn't taking the color as well. It could also have been the blue that I was using here, I think was cobalt blue. It had kind of gotten chunky, so I'm thinking maybe its time has come. But at the moment right now, I'm just not happy with this. It's not matching the picture in my head of where I wanted this to go. I'm kind of wiping it back with the baby wipe, and then I'm not happy with that. So I'm just kind of continuing along. Eventually, I get to the point where it's just like, okay, just set it aside, let this dry completely, and then we'll deal with it. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do. As I said in the beginning, I'm working on two different sizes. This is 4x6, and the door hanger from the hole to the bottom is 6 inches by about 3 1/4, 9 inches in full length. But it's an odd shape. And I'm just going to show you some of the adjustments that I make along the way to accommodate for the sizes and the different colors that I've chosen for the background. So I'm using the same sentiment, the same stencil, but doing some different applications. So if you like the idea, you can pick your own colors and follow the same principles. If your page is bigger or smaller, you can adjust it accordingly as well. So here I'm just coming back after it was a little bit dry. I'm adding more purple, basically getting rid of a lot of that green. Then I decide, okay, just work on the other one. So here I'm using cadmium yellow and orange. I wanted to do something opposite of what the other one was, to just show you some variety and differences. Now on this door hanger, I gessoed it to begin with, and I've painted the back side black. And I do that before I do the front, and I find that it's just easier to color it later on. Here I'm just deepening the color, building up layers. Rubbing back some so I get more yellow there. And then letting that completely dry. Now I want to bring out those numbers because it is kind of key to the quote that I'm using. Here I'm taking brown and I'm using the Ranger blending foam and rubbing lightly over top of the textured area, and that brings up those numbers so you can see them. Now this, I decided it's too dark. I am giving it a wash of watered down gesso, and then I'm going to wipe it back with a baby wipe. And that just mutes those colors, and it's going to allow me to put some dark blue on it to bring out the numbers, and it's going to stand out a little bit better. Because these are both relatively small um, projects, I'm just using the pattern and the texture of the one stencil. There's no need to add stamping. Here I'm taking Prussian blue with the blending foam, and I'm bringing out the texture from the Numbers Scramble stencil and modeling paste. And you can see how lightening it with a wash of gesso has made that possible for these numbers and the pattern to stand out. Now I'm going to the color wheel, and I'm going to, for the focal image, pick colors that are across the color wheel. So I'm using these two Crazy Birds, Tim Holtz's Crazy Birds, and I love these. And on the orange yellow one, I'm going to go teal and blue, and I'm mixing kind of the neon yellow with a turquoise color. I typically mix two shades together, and that makes it so it's not quite so flat. I stamp these on, um, it's not tag board, but it's thicker than copy paper. I can't think of what it's called. And this one I'm going to do yellow, which is the complementary color to blue, which is in the background. So I'm adding just a smidge of orange on this, again, so it doesn't look flat. I'm also going to be adding shading, and that's going to bring up more of it. You can see how that yellow pops off of that background. So here I'm coming in with the Prussian blue, with black, and I am shading. And it's pretty easy with the Crazy Bird stamps. There's lines, and I'm just following the lines that were already there, and I can still see it through the paint. At some point, I paint the beak orange, but I don't think that was on video. And I'm painting it just with acrylic paint. You can use markers if you prefer. Now, on the 4x6, that one little crazy bird is not big enough. So I need to beef up the focal image. And so I'm going to add something to that focal image. And I'm painting a sheet of paper with quinacridone magenta, and I just added a little bit of blue in there. Again, I'm mixing colors. I'm going to use this darkroom door stamp, and I will list this and the stencils and other products in the description box below. There are affiliate links. Full disclosure, I do get a small commission when you shop through my affiliate links, but it doesn't cost you more. Love, love, love this butterfly. I'm going to add these wings to that yellow bird. Here I'm just cutting out with the X-Acto knife on the cutting mat, the little excess between the legs. So with the 4x6, I've added the wings to fill the background. If I had just put the crazy bird there by itself, it would just be too small. Whereas on the door hanger, the one bird by itself is fine. You could also put a circle behind it or another shape, add a flower, do something else to beef it up and give the focal image more weight. I splattered with the quinacridone magenta and then gold, and I chose gold because the bird is yellow. So I tied in the wings and the bird to the background. I'm liking the look of that teal bird, but the colors were a little faded. So I grabbed my alizarin crimson and I'm just adding a little bit of reddish tone to it. And this just made it pop. Adding that extra depth of color just, in my mind, made this background. It was looking dull and nothing was really popping, and then I just added that. So sometimes you just have to add more color. I typed out the sentiment in two different fonts. I went a little bit bigger with the 4x6 than on the door hanger one. And I'm gluing this all down with matte gel medium from the Crafter's Workshop. Now there's a lot of texture there. That's why I've chosen to use the gel medium as opposed to a fluid medium. And I'm taking time to press this down. In both cases, I chose fonts that were fairly bold because I wanted them to stand out. On the door hanger, the teal blue is opposite the yellow and orange on the color wheel. And that's why that works. I find putting the gel medium on the back of whatever you're gluing down as well as right on the substrate helps to glue it down a little easier. So you want to adjust the size of the sentiment according to the size of your substrate. If you were doing this on a bigger substrate, a bigger art journal page, I might put a collection of the crazy birds with one of them looking odd, maybe one having butterfly wings or angel wings or a funny hat or something. And then I could have the same quote. And that would also beef up or bulk up the focal image and fit a larger page. Here I'm edging with the blending foam and black on both of them, and that frames the picture. This 4x6 is not magnetized. I could put a magnet on it so it could become a fridge magnet, but it's going to sit on a tiny easel. Here I'm shading because I want those wings. I want to give them definition and I want it to stand up from the page. Now in this video, I'm showing you two ways of doing the same but different, two different sizes, two different colors. Do you like getting two different ways doing the same but different? Would that be a good series to do? Leave your answer in the comment section. Also be sure to tell me which one of these you like the best. Adding a little bit more shading. Now I'm taking my Sakura glaze pen. It's dimensional, glossy, and it's just going to outline all the sentiments. It works so well even with all the texture in the background. If you haven't tried the Sakura glaze, give it a try. They're great for outlining like I'm doing here or going around sentiments. I don't want to splatter with gold. I also splatter the back, which is black, and that, if in case there's any little imperfections, that just hides it. Here are close-ups. Be sure to tell me if you like seeing two ways of doing the same but different, and tell me which of these projects you like the best. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, go get creative.